Hey guys, this is Nick and welcome to my Linux experiment. And this time we're gonna talk about Fedora, but not the regular Fedora workstation version that you all know. We're gonna talk about Fedora Silverblue, which is based on rpm-ostree and on flatpak. This means that the user experience, while not so different from the basic Fedora on the surface, is a lot more different in terms of internal workings. I think it's a very interesting one, so let's take a look right after this. This video is sponsored by Kernel Care and Cloud Linux. Kernel Care is a live patching system that automatically applies security patches to Linux kernels and shared libraries with no reboots. It's used on over 500,000 servers and has been used to patch servers running for 6+ years for such companies as Dell, Zoom or Liquid Web. It works with all major Linux distros and interoperates with common vulnerability scanners, configuration management tools and patch management solutions. In November this year, CentOS 6 will go end of life, which means no more bug fixes or security patches. Without these, a server is increasingly susceptible to vulnerabilities and associated attacks. It is challenging for organizations to migrate to the newest version of CentOS, but at the same time they cannot live without ongoing support either. Now you can make this problem disappear. CentOS 6 Extended Lifecycle Support, or ELS, from Cloud Linux allows you to continue working with CentOS 6 beyond November 30, even for 3 more years if you want. All of your fixes, patches and all will continue to flow just like today, only from Cloud Linux repos. Also, for a limited time, you can get a specially discounted bundle, Kernel Care Live Patching and ELS for CentOS 6 together, with a 30% discount on CentOS 6 ELS and a 15% discount on Kernel Care. Learn more about the bundle and sign up for the quote using the link in the description below. So what is Fedora Silverblue? Well, it's what was called Fedora Atomic workstation before. It's what they call an immutable OS, which means that you, the user, cannot touch the system files while they are in use. The base of the distro is actually shipped as an image that the developers can commit changes to, much like they would in a repository on GitLab or GitHub. These bootable images are your base system, and you can layer packages on top of them using the package manager rpm-ostree, but it's not really the goal of the distro. Silverblue allows you to focus on your work instead of maintaining your packages, your distro, and your system. When you receive an update, which is shipped as a bootable image, you just download it and then you reboot on that image and your new base system is there and ready to use. That's the basics. If the new image doesn't work well for you, you can just reboot on an older version and be done with it. You are not losing any config files, you are not losing any changes, you just reboot on the base system that you used to use and that worked well for you. For example, if you wanted to move to a development release just to see what was new, you could download the latest release of that development OS, move to that image, test what you want to test, and once you're done, you can just revert to the stable version of the image that you were using before, and you haven't lost any work, you don't have any packages to downgrade, no dependencies issues to solve, no config files to delete because they are now in an earlier version than the app you're using. You just reboot on the older image and everything is stable and fine. Now, Silverblue doesn't have a 32-bit version, but it does ship for x86, PowerPC and ARM, so you can maybe try it out on a lot of computers, including those shiny new Pinebook Pros. The main releases follow Fedora's main release cycle, which is one new version every 6 months, so the current one is currently Fedora Silverblue 32. Okay, but really, how is Fedora Silverblue different? Well, from the outside, you wouldn't really be able to tell the difference. Fedora Silverblue runs vanilla GNOME with the GNOME apps, and if you put a Fedora workstation user on top of Silverblue, he would probably not really notice the difference, until he tried to install a package using the DNF package manager. That's right, DNF is not installed by default, and you can't really make use of it on Silverblue. All graphical applications are installed through flatpak. And this is a huge change because flatpak doesn't have every single application, but that's kind of the goal of Silverblue. See, your base image is super stable and is shipped in forms of bootable images, and you cannot really tweak them that much. So this means that to be able to work and move from images to images or revert to older images, your applications need to not be tied to this system. And the right way to do it is to use flatpak, because flatpak can operate on top of really any version of any libraries and system and core system functions that you want. So you can have all your flatpak images and all your flatpak software layered on top of really any kind of system image. The catch here is that all the applications are provided through Fedora's own flatpak repo and not through FlatHub. For those who don't know, FlatHub is the main remote for flatpak applications and contains basically every flatpak that has been created, either officially by the application developers or unofficially through users. Fedora has a different approach to software. They only want to ship free software and open source software. And FlatHub contains software that is not free, not open source, and like Spotify, for example, or Steam. And these apps you won't find in Fedora's own remote. Obviously, if you want to add FlatHub, you can. You just download a Flatpak file, open it in the GNOME Software Center, and it will offer you to add the remote, and then you'll get access to everything that's on FlatHub. But what if you want to add something that is not on FlatHub through a package? Well, you can, using rpm-ostree, which is kind of the package manager and the system image creation tool, but it's not really recommended. What you'll be doing in that case is basically using rpm-ostree to install the same packages that you would find on DNF. For example, fonts are provided as packages in Fedora, so if you wanted to install some new fonts, you could install them through packages using rpm-ostree instead of DNF. Problem is, these packages won't be available immediately, because your system needs to add them to the system image, and since you cannot write to it while you're using it, you're going to have to reboot on the newly built image that contains those packages. That's what they call layering packages on top of the image. So you could spend a few minutes trying to find the packages you really want to add to your base image, install them through rpm-ostree, then the image will be rebuilt using these packages, and once that new system image is ready, you're going to have to reboot on that system image to benefit from these changes. Fortunately, your system will always keep the most recent images you've used, so you can always revert to an older one, and you can even decide to pin some of them to make sure that they always stay available when you need to reboot on them. So what real issues are there to moving to Silverblue? Well, the first obvious one is Flatpak. Flatpak is good, Flatpak is great, even though some people don't really like these containerized applications, but they solve a problem. But they don't solve every problem because not every application is available in Flatpak. And then you're going to have to make use of the package manager, which means that your system image will have to be rebuilt with the layered packages on top, and you're going to have to reboot on that new image to be able to use your software. You cannot just install thing and use it right away. For example, you might have the issue of running Chrome, because Chrome is not available as a Flatpak application, neither is Chromium. And you cannot really install them through rpm-ostree either, because they are not in the repos. So to use Chrome, you're basically going to have to use something else, and you're going to have to stick with Firefox if you want to use Silverblue, which is fantastic because Firefox is a great browser and I much prefer it to Chrome, but for some people that might not be the case. And the same issue will apply to packages or applications that expect to be able to write onto the system image, but they won't be able to because it's read-only. So for example, some printer drivers or even DaVinci Resolve that I use to make those videos expect to be able to write to the disk image immediately, and that cannot be allowed because your system image is not writable. So basically you're going to be stuck with something that doesn't work and doesn't want to install, and no way to install it unless it's released as a Flatpak, which is probably not going to be the case for drivers or DaVinci Resolve, for example. Way smaller issue is the fact that FlatHub is not enabled by default, which means that by default you will be restricted to software that Fedora allows you to install. It can be really easily fixed by just installing a Flatpak ref file, either through the command line or through GNOME Software Center, but it's going to take a little bit of time for some users to get acclimated to that. And then there's the issue of developers. As a web developer, you might want to install some packages to run your own server on your machine and be able to update that really quickly without rebooting your machine, and that's not possible in Silverblue by default. But that's why Silverblue added the concept of toolboxes. Toolboxes are basically containers that can run any system that you'd like, and that will allow you to have a system to tinker with inside of your super stable Silverblue system. So a web developer could create a toolbox to run its own local web dev server and try to tweak its websites and make the changes that it needs without even affecting its own system. That's basically a container on your own system, and I think this system is super great, even though the performance will probably be a little lower than running all these servers directly on your machine. So to conclude, Fedora Silverblue feels half like the future and half like the past. The future because you have a super stable base. You can just reboot to update, you can just use any application that you'd like, and it's completely independent of the rest of the software. You have no dependency issues, you can run the latest version of applications even with a super old base. That's the future of Linux, in my mind. Problem is, it's also really the past, because every time you update your system, you have to reboot, and that brings back nasty memories of Windows. So if I really think about it, the main target for Silverblue is probably not regular desktop users like you and me, regular desktop Linux users, as far as those exist. It's probably more companies. You're a sysadmin in a company. You have like hundreds of desktops to update at the same time. What do? You just create your image, you layer all the packages you need on top of it, and you just distribute it through your own repo to every single computer in your company. And every time there's an update, everything just downloads the new update, boots on the new image, and you're done. Every time they reboot, the user will be on the next stable image, and you have nothing to worry about, no scripting, no reverting to older versions. If you want to revert, just boot back one version to the older system image, and you're done. And the fact that graphical apps are handled through flatpaks means that they are super sandboxed, you have less security issues, and you can manage those as well through your own company remote if you want to limit what the users can install. So basically that's a sysadmin's dream. So in the end, Silverblue is a super exciting project. I like the fact that they are using some really new and bleeding edge technologies to try and solve the issues that have been plaguing the Linux desktop and the Linux systems for ages. It feels like the future, and yet I cannot see myself using it. Like, I need to install stuff all the time. I need to install new programs. I need to try out new programs, write new configs, edit config files to try some tweaks. And I cannot just have to reboot every time I want to tinker with my system. I need some kind of stable base, but I want to be able to adapt and change and remove stuff quickly. And I don't want to have to wait to reboot to use my stuff. It's just not practical for what I do. I like to tinker when a video is rendering. I cannot reboot my computer doing that, so I would lose all the time that the video renders before I could tinker or tweak my system. That's just not how I roll. But some people might really find this super useful, especially in terms of enterprise. And that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, don't hesitate to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!